You simply can't go wrong. So come along and watch your Samsung.
A business can start anywhere at any time. A great idea or a dedicated person cannot be stopped by the depressing time of war or financial devastation. The early 20th century saw many ideas and businesses thrive in these situations, and some of them became international brands worldwide. But to start from a place with extremely limited opportunities, broken from the devastation of war, and not only rise to the pinnacle of success, but lead the world's technological revolution, is a story of a lifetime. And that's exactly what Samsung pulled off. During the time when Japan was dictating the land of Korea, Lee Byung-chul founded a trading company named Mitsubishi Trading Company, or in local, Samsung Sangho. It was a time when Koreans were facing an extreme level of decolonization from the Japanese, such as changing Korean people's names or prohibiting Korean children from learning their native language in school. Regardless, Lee Byung-chul stayed optimistic and started his trading company in Daegu. Because of his location advantage, Lee Byung-chul received numerous favors from both parties to grow into a big company. After Japan's defeat in the Second World War, Korean people found their long-lost freedom, and that brought Lee Byung-chul a great opportunity to grow even larger. Because of Japan's fast exit, they left a large number of their assets in Korea, which were later distributed to other Korean businesses for a lower price. Lee Byung-chul took this and other advantages to make his company stand out. Before the Korean War broke out, his company, Samsung, was one of the 10 largest trading companies in the country. When the Korean War started, things took a dramatic turn for the worse. Almost all the major infrastructures were destroyed, along with the transportation options such as railways and bridges. South Korea was facing another extreme time, but after outside interventions, this war finally came to an end after 3 years in 1953. After its second independence, South Korea was found in larger problems. The whole country was devastated, and there was no sustainable economy to run. Syngman Rhee, South Korea's first president, had to do something about this. It was a problem they couldn't solve by just printing more money. Luckily enough, South Korea started to receive financial bits of help from other countries. During the 1950s, South Korea received close to $3 billion in the process. Now, to fix the existing economic problem, Syngman Rhee started to find companies that were reliable enough to invest in. And Samsung was one of those companies for 2 reasons. 1. Samsung had the experience to continue their business during the hard times and still stay relevant in the market. 2. Lee Byung-chul was a close friend of South Korea's first president, Syngman Rhee. So it was quite easy for Samsung to receive the funding to begin their operation. Samsung also received some questionable favors from the South Korean government, like getting a permit to export scrap metal when the government was extremely strict on export matters. These factors helped Samsung grow significantly, so they started expanding their business from trading to manufacturing. They started producing daily goods such as sugar and flour, and after a year, they started their textile division. Samsung's annual growth was more than 90%. Samsung was becoming so big that they started to buy the same banks they took loans from. In 1961, the Korean military dethroned Syngman Rhee, and in 1963, Park Chung-hee became the second president of South Korea. But this didn't faze Lee Byung-chul, because Samsung was too big to fall at the time. The new president focused on export growth, and Samsung was the perfect company to look at. It was already established and had big financial resources, unlike any other company. In 1969, Samsung created its electronics division, Samsung Electronics. And in the same year, the South Korean government passed a tax reduction legislation for companies doing business with electronics. Coincidentally, Samsung Electronics was the only company at the time doing business in the same division, and they started the same year. It was almost as if the legislation was passed exclusively for Samsung. Samsung's first electronic product was the black and white television, but slowly they began to produce more electronic home appliances such as radios, tape recorders, and many more. But at the early stages of its development, Samsung faced criteria in the business. At the time, Samsung imported their small components and relied on this heavily. But to grow, they realized that they need to make their own small components to work with. So in 1974, they started their first semiconductor company to ensure constant supplies. This one move turned out to be one of the best strategies Samsung initiated, which made their production rate higher and they could export their electronic goods to other countries, resulting in more revenue for Samsung. Samsung used these profits to expand in many other divisions such as hotel management, the entertainment industry, the chemical industry, and even defense. In early 1980, Samsung introduced its own DRAM into the market. When they introduced this product into the market, electronic products were also entering the market, which were dependent on the DRAM to work. It was great timing, and this was something the tech world appreciated dearly. But things slowly changed because of the quality of products Samsung was introducing. From their color TV to the newly introduced mobile phone, everything was failing to attract consumers because of the poor quality. Samsung's mobile was even criticized in South Korea, and people there started to use Motorola, a Japanese-made mobile phone, despite their sour relationship with the Japanese. Samsung understood the problem, and they also knew the future of the company was in the electronics division. So instead of getting rid of some products, they got rid of their other assets and sold many things, collecting over $2 billion. And then they went back to their component making phase again. Samsung began developing better quality components to export and also developed their own electronic products at the same time. This didn't just make Samsung a well-known company, but they also went ahead of their competitors by releasing advanced electronic products before anyone else. Samsung became the world's largest producer of memory chips in 1992 and is the world's second largest chip maker after Intel. Today, Samsung is a powerful influence on South Korea's economic development, politics, media, and culture. Samsung is the world's second largest technology company by revenue, and its market capitalization stood at $520.65 billion, the 12th largest in the world. It's also one of the few companies that has its own military department. Samsung also holds a huge market in the mobile phone sector today. Samsung is the world's biggest phone manufacturer today by volume, and a big competitor to another tech giant, Apple. Samsung's semiconductor business is also turning into a big source of profit for them, generating over 70% of revenue in 2010, and the market is rising after the pandemic situation. In South Korea, a lot of people think that Samsung's chairman is more influential and powerful than their own president. This indicated the incredible power Samsung holds in South Korea today. There are many incidents where Samsung showed its power in South Korea in unethical ways. One of the incidents was when former Samsung Chairman Lee Kun-hee was accused of having sex workers and prostitutes around him in 2016. In 2018, the man who recorded Lee Kun-hee was sentenced to 4 years and 6 months of jail time for blackmail and intimidation by the Supreme Court of South Korea. Dark negative history can be found in any big corporation, but there's no denying that Samsung took a huge role in shaping an entire country into a technological and cultural powerhouse. From facing outside forces, fighting a civil war, to rising into the capital of entertainment and technology is a feat worth praising. And you have to admire Samsung, the way they showed an optimistic way of handling business and addressing problems rather than ignoring them. Today, the world has become a little bit better because of Samsung's innovative technologies.